All right, well, I went ahead and degreased, lightly sanded, and then used the drill brush and everything to clean all this up. And you could probably see on there some of the striations, the scratches on it from the 600. And there's a bunch of stuff that's going on here that, needs to be covered up and addressed. I don't know if it needs to be or not, but anyway, I think they look all right. But I ordered some paint, the Duplicolor, and did the spare, and the spare looks no scratches in it. Covers up, hides everything really well. And so I think what I'm going to end up doing, there's the side by side. I think I'm going to end up painting them because it just looks outstanding. And here's what I used. I used the Duplicolor, and this is the silver. I'll put a link in the video, but this gun is outstanding. This is the one that you push on like that. There's the inside of it, and here's what I'm going to tell you. Yeah, it's hard to get on there. So you lay the can down like this, and then you push with the handle facing up at you right here, this handle, just like this, and you push this handle so it slides over this. Don't try and snap it over. This thing is insanely tight on how it stretches out around the can. But wow, does this make a difference. And I was a painter in my former life, and so I can tell you this thing is a godsend, especially for doing this. You can get, this is like 4 coats. I used about a half a can, maybe a little bit less than a half a can on it. Go over it lightly. It dries very quickly. So again, this is the Duplicolor Silver, and you can see it matches pretty well to what's going on there. Before I went ahead and did this, I tested it on the back of the wheel because I had cleaned everything up, and really pleased with how that looks. So I'll show you again how that looks on there, and the angles. There's a little bit of a sag right there, but not until you get close up do you see it. But you can see the texture in the wheel. Previous owner must have dinged this. But anyway, this was the spare, and it's got an old tire on it. And so that's what we're doing. All right, we're doing the tires, or the wheels, and went through, sanded all these down while they were on the truck to make it a little bit easier. Got them good and roughed up, and then hit them again with 200. So everything here is good. They were degreased. And then that's the rear. So you saw the test on the spare. So getting these degreased. Hit it with the flat. So that's still in degrease process. And then using the degreaser, hit the tire again with the trusty tool. And then once that's clean and dry, and then we are using the etching primer on it. And then we'll do 2 coats on that, let it dry up, and that also is sanding so I can get rid of a lot of the spots in it. And then we're just going to do the front 2 wheels today, and then we'll go to the backs tomorrow. I tried being fancy and cutting note cards with a little bit of a bevel in it, but use the old school painter's tape machine, and you just take the tape and you put the lip right around the edge, and then you push it in with a tool and it'll just seal it up. All right, about an hour later, and I've got all this done. Just did it in a couple coats of flat, a couple coats of gloss, both sides, so they're all cleaned up. Degreased that, brushed it, etc. Sanded and did all of the lug nuts, separated them. That's driver's side over here, that's passenger side. Wheels. So wheels are coming out all right, and I got a little bit too anxious and actually a sag here. You can see it, but that'll sand out. So there's some overspray, and I'm going to take care of the overspray first with just wiping them down with a rag, just a microfiber. That'll get off a lot of the stuff that is going to make it, look a little rough. But it says the dry time's 4 hours, and these are at 2. I'm going to let them sit overnight. I got this thing on jack stands. I got it chocked in the back. I've got the emergency brake on. And there's no sense in rushing this if I want to make them really nice. And I don't need the truck tomorrow. So let them sit in the garage. Let that harden up overnight. Give it a light sand and then shoot them tomorrow. And then they will be perfect. And then we'll see. Next thing I'm going to fix, because it's annoying me, is you can see how that piece of trim there is all kinds of geeked. So I'm going to pop the grill off and fix that. I actually took that piece of trim off. I know this is a divergence from the wheels, but I took this piece of trim off, and you could see it in the sunlight. I painted it with the wheel trim, or the wheel paint, because this was a mess. It was painted, the previous owner oversprayed it with black. I took as much as I could off, just not worth it. But I might buy a rattle can of the body paint and redo it. But depending on what light you're in, you can't really see it, so I'm going to leave it. All right, we are on the first coat of the wheels. Everything was sanded, smooth, used. My shadow out of the way there. Use the filler. Let's see if I have some of it here. I do not, but use the filler, sander, etcher, and I chose to let it dry overnight, sanded it, and then now we're just going to add some coats, let them sit, and then I'm going to turn these 180 degrees for each coat. And then that's it. And we'll see what final looks like. Okay, 4 coats. Gonna let them bake in the sun here. Not gonna touch them for probably a week. And all the flaws on this 4th coat just sort of disappeared. It was great. It's really kind of fun to see. So this is the last coat that you put on, and it says to put it on wet. So I rolled the tires back and forth every time so that I could make sure I got as much of these edges as I could. But these rims were beat up, and you can see on a couple of other videos about them. But that etcher, filler, primer came out well. So I'm going to put these back on the front. And like I said, I was going gloss black on everything here. I didn't paint the lugs on this, I just masked all the 10 grade bolts on there. But got both sides of this done. That's the underside. Gotta clean it up a little bit more, but those look freaking sweet. Very happy with the way they look. And by the way, I did test this on my spare that is obviously under the back of the truck before I decided to do this and take a dive into just recoating everything. But you can see on this tire where I start in terms of, you know, some heavy sanding went on there. Then I'll alcohol wipe all that, and then once the alcohol wipe is done, then I'll mask it all off, hit it with the primer, let it sit for about 6 hours, sand it, and then we'll be on our way. All right, 3 hours later, took it off. There are a couple of spots, but I'm gonna leave them because back a couple of feet and nobody's gonna notice them, but they look fantastic. So we're gonna throw them on. That's what I'm talking about. Outstanding. Driver's side. I like it with the black lugs. Very cool. So that's it. I want to do the back ones. I'm not going to film that because you get the idea from doing the front. And then that's it. You can sort of see the difference. I guess sort of. No, you can definitely see the difference. They look outstanding. All right. Pretty easy. If you can do it right, it's going to take you a few hours.